Jerry Jones says he's not opposed to a reunion with Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. Do you see this happening?
No. And I have so much respect for what Jerry and Steven are doing here, and the organization, Mike McCarthy too, in showing so much respect to Ezekiel Elliott. He's earned it.
Yeah.
He did everything he could here for 7 years, at the highest level, of course, winning 2 rushing titles, but even at his lowest point, still battling through injuries and
leading the team in the locker room.
No question about it, and offering to be the battering ram and whatever else it took. In fact, on what I think will be his final play as a Dallas Cowboy, allowing himself to play center in a long snap, weird shotgun, desperate, ridiculous situation. He should not be remembered that way, but I don't think he will be remembered as a guy who gets the call back. Now, we can get to training camp and
see what happens.
And things can happen. But I am telling you, and I don't care how many times somebody writes it on a national level, it is not the Cowboys' intention to bring back Ezekiel Elliott. There is not an open door that he can just walk in and grab a pen and sign a contract. That's just not true. They want to look at the guys they have behind Tony Pollard for one, but mostly, and again, to the great credit of the organization, there's no use kicking Ezekiel Elliott around.
No.
They still think he can play. I still think he can play, but there is not a plan to bring Ezekiel Elliott back to the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, thanks, Fish. Let's move on. It's mandatory minicamp here at the Star, and we just heard from head coach Mike McCarthy, who says this week, and today rather, Tyron Smith will be working at left tackle, Tyler Smith moving to left guard. This is a pretty big switch up.
Look how careful you have to be to make sure you pronounce it.
I know,
right.
I was like,
Tyron.
So many Smiths, so many
Tyler.
Ty.
Yeah, Mozzie Smith.
Yep.
Emmett Smith.
Yep.
This is the biggest story of the week in minicamp.
And it won't get as much attention as the rest of the stories because it's the offensive line.
Right, and it's not a skill position, and nobody plays fantasy football with Tyler and Tyron.
Yeah.
This is the most logical thing that they could possibly do, and I have kind of been bamboozled as to why the Cowboys are waiting, and they keep talking about, oh, we got position flex, and we can move this guard to tackle, and we could do this with best 5 is the easiest and most obvious thing to do. So let's walk through it. Even if you think that Tyler Smith is a better player right now than Tyron, and conceivably that's true, the best 5 has to include Terrence Steele.
Yes.
If
so
you
then
have,
how do you work him in?
Right. If you have Tyron Smith playing right tackle, which is how he finished last year, and Tyler finished playing left tackle, where he has a chance to be terrific, then where does Terrence Steele play? Guard, where he's never played before?
Yeah.
Well, why would you do that? Why not just put Tyler Smith, who has played guard, at guard, put Terrence Steele, who's been the right tackle, at right tackle, put Tyron Smith, who's going to the Hall of Fame as a left tackle, at left tackle. Tyler Biadasz is a solid center, and then Zach Martin, who's going to the Hall of Fame at right guard.
And get it going now so they have time to mesh, get the chemistry together.
Why
not wait?
And Steele isn't ready yet. He's doing his injury rehab, of course. But why not grab bag at right tackle, knowing that Terrence Steele, when he's ready, will come win that job? Go let Ball and Matt Lewetzko and Chuma and those guys, go let them rotate over there and get a turn and get some reps, because they'll be needed at some point. But give the 4 jobs to the 4 healthy guys who are 4 of the best 5. The Cowboys have never satisfied me with an answer why they would do something else. And there are continuing reports. One of the newspapers just swears that Tyler Smith's not moving to tackle, and that they might be right, but they ought to be wrong, because this makes way more sense.
I love it. So another huge storyline here at mandatory minicamp is that Coach Mike McCarthy is taking over play calling. We just heard from Coach. He says that he spent a lot more time with quarterback Dak Prescott this offseason, that he's really excited with all of the work that they were able to put in this spring. How do you think things will change, and do you think Dak and McCarthy are headed in the right direction? For
the head coach and being the play caller, this is like riding a bicycle for Mike McCarthy. This is what he did for the better part of a decade and a half in Green Bay.
You can tell he's more confident.
Absolutely. And he's got his hands on the steering wheel. And, you know, if things go south, and of course there's a lot of speculation about hot seats and the next, not particularly fair as we sit here at this time of year, but if things are going to go right or things are going to go wrong, and I'm the captain of the ship, I want to have my hand on the big ship's wheel.
Yeah.
That's part of this. He's a better play caller than Kellen Moore, simply by virtue of the fact that he's been doing it for 5 times as long as the now departed to the Chargers, Kellen Moore. I think it streamlines things.
That's a good point.
There's still other brains that contribute. Brian Schottenheimer's the new offensive coordinator. That's his title.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a McCarthy helper. But it streamlines things in the thinking because you do all your preparation and your game planning and what we're going to do on 3rd and 4. You do that on Wednesday. And then we get to Sunday and we should know what we're going to do on 3rd and 4. And now this offensive coordinator in Schottenheimer can be an advisor to the guy who's got his hands on the steering wheel. I think your point about McCarthy's comfort level makes a lot of sense because he knows.
He's done it before. He knows what's going on.
And he knows what play is going to be called. Whereas when somebody else is his play caller, he's waiting for that person to feed him the decision.
Right.
There is no good reason why this can't work out really well for McCarthy and the Cowboys.
Okay, now that we're here in mandatory minicamp, is there a position battle you're really excited to watch?
There's some star level things, obviously, in terms of who gets playing time and who gets what.
Right.
To the point about fantasy football, we don't play fantasy football on defense, not very often, but
this defense sure is going to be fun to watch.
And
you should probably snatch them up if you
if there's a way to do
available.
that. Ozzie Smith, the rookie defensive tackle, who they think is more than just a run stopper. How much can he push Jonathan Hankins as an interior defensive lineman? Hankins, the guy's been doing this for a decade. Mozzie's been doing this for a minute. But Hankins does not give you up the field push. He's not going to go get a sack.
Right.
But this organization thinks Mozzie Smith can do that. So that's one level of guy.
Yeah.
At linebacker, Damone Clark is winning that second job, I think. So Jabril Cox and the rookie from Texas, DeMarvion Overshown, maybe they're in a battle to be that third guy. That's not counting Micah, who's actually kind of the first guy. And then we'll go into the secondary, where we know who the 3 safeties are.
Right.
We know who the 2 starting cornerbacks are. But here comes Deron Bland, who is participating here like he looks like more than just a slot corner.
Yeah.
Maybe this is an issue for another year. Gilmore is just on a 1-year contract.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. They are developing depth in the secondary, and whatever Deron Bland does for this team, because Gilmore and Diggs are the starting cornerbacks, but I think he's going to be more than just a slot corner here.
Something that stood out to me when Coach Mike McCarthy just spoke before mandatory minicamp is running back Tony Pollard, he says, is taking over a little bit of a leadership role in the locker room. Now, we've been around Zeke, we've been around Tony Pollard. Tony always a little bit more reserved
Very much so, yeah.
Zeke.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out with the running backs room.
Yeah, leadership, of course, comes in so many forms, doesn't it?
You've got the Dak type. You've got the everybody.
Tyron Smith is a good example.
Exactly.
I would say Tony Pollard probably leans that way. You don't hear Tony Pollard being a leader the way you do with Zach.
Right.
He doesn't have that kind of presence. I don't think he wants that kind of presence.
Right.
I think what McCarthy is referring to in part here is a Cowboy tradition and a football tradition. Big brother passes down to little brother. I don't know that Tony Pollard was a leader when he was at Memphis necessarily. Maybe.
Yeah.
I bet you he learned leadership traits from being in this locker room.
Yeah.
Including with big brother Ezekiel Elliott, not to mention Dak Prescott and others. But if you're going to be a Pro Bowl running back, if you're going to make $10 million a year, and if you're going to be viewed as being good enough that we can say goodbye to Ezekiel Elliott, which is part of the equation with Tony Pollard and Zeke, then it would be nice if you could do it all. And that is run between the tackles and run with speed and catch the football and pass protect and, yes, be a team leader as well.
Yep. Okay, Fish, before I let you go, are you hearing any whispers around here to start?
This one started as a whisper, but it deserves to be louder.
Okay.
We talked to Jerry Jones the other day, and he said, he didn't say we're not putting anybody in the Ring of Honor this year. He said he doesn't plan to. That's a little different.
Yeah, well, especially for somebody like you who speaks Jerry.
Right. You got to speak Jerry to understand Jerry's, because he's being misinterpreted. All the headlines are nobody's going in, and that's not what he said.